everybody. This is Ron, your captain speaking. We are currently 30,000 feet in the air, and we haven't even left the airport. We just lit the joint. Just kidding, a little pilot humor there. We like to have fun. Our destination today is Casablanca, Morocco. So everyone, sit back, fasten your seatbelts, and prepare for takeoff. We will be arriving in 6 hours.
Seven Footers crew, what is going on? Jarod and Jenna back here. Jarod is feeling much better than me, though, because he's back from an island vacation. Okay, Jarod?
Yeah.
How was it?
It was lovely. Spent 8 days with my toes in the sands, the beautiful Caribbean Sea, Atlantic Ocean, doing my thing on the lovely island of St. Martin, in the French West Indies. Shouts to all the people we met down there. Just a great time. Just, it's important, Jenna, to go and reset, right? And get yourself together and make sure that, your mentals are taken care of.
Always. I think I need to book that, like, right after this. Speaking of the mentals, no, it's all good here. I'm glad you enjoyed your vacation. It looked absolutely lovely. We all know Jarod loves a good chill vibe on an island, almost like a young Drake.
Well, you know what's so funny, like, because you were like before I left, take pics, and I'm like, and you know me,
I was
like,
like, take pics, send me.
All right, I am an experiential kind of guy. Like, my brain is not thinking about photos and posting on social. Like, I just don't go there, right? I'm enjoying what I'm doing and experiencing, but I'm like, all right, let me post a couple pics for the peeps out there. And it was funny. Fred Felix was like, bro, you've been on vacation for a long time. It's time to come home now. Like, he's like, it's like 8 days of these pictures. He was like,
this is not your type of content, Jarod. And I'm not saying Jarod is this like manic workaholic, but he works and he's serious. So when it's vacation time, the switch flips. Oh my gosh. I was so excited. He posted one picture, guys. I was like, oh my God, live your best life.
You did say that. I was dying. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, this is exactly why I don't post photos.
She's annoying me all the way from St. Martin. Well, I'm still at home, but you're in St. Martin. But
too funny.
Jarod, thank God you're back and you're well rested because we have missed you and your expertise on all things the association. So we must get started because when I saw the show run today, it had the only name possible that would come to mind if I was writing it, LeBron James. Okay.
Yes.
Why are we talking about LeBron James? Because the Lakers still stink and they're the below 500, 13 seed in the West. Yeah, we all know that. Unfortunately, I had to say that. I'm so sorry, Lakers. But he is closing in on Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's all-time scoring record, which is absolutely incredible. And it's also incredible the tweets that he's sending out to about maybe non-calls during games, refs missing fouls, and so on that he says. So what do you make of this, Gerard? Because obviously we're not talking about the Lakers right now because they're not good. But LeBron on Twitter, and I'm just saying this being not biased, people are going to be like, oh, look at him.
Not biased? Weird.
Again, the greatest trying to complain because he's going to reach the all-time scoring list.
Yeah.
I mean, what is he, 500 points away?
Less than that. I think you want to say he's 300 and change away now. Let's see. Yeah, he is 300.
There.
300 and about 5 points away, something like that.
He just dropped 40 piece?
He did. Yeah. He had a great game. 48, 8 and 9, I believe. Look, everyone knows on this podcast, Jenna is a LeBron stan, and I often throw cold water on her. But I am often, as everyone knows, I am honest and clear about who the all-time greats are and what they've done in the history of this league, because that's important, right? And if you're telling the history of the NBA and the story of the league, you cannot tell it without LeBron James. I've said numerous times, he, along with Michael Jordan and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, are the only three people who I think you can legitimately talk about for being the greatest of all time. Now, I am also of the opinion that comparing players across eras is a fool's errand because the game is just different, right? The game that Kareem played versus the game that Michael plays versus the game that LeBron, it's just different, right? Yeah. The basketball is different. And comparison is the thief of joy, right? Like when you start comparing things, what ends up happening is you're like, oh, you start not appreciating the other stuff for what they are. In their respective eras, these were head and shoulders, right? The greats of their eras. And LeBron closing in on Kareem's all-time scoring record of 38,387 points is incredible. And, you know, especially for LeBron and his, like, I'm not a scorer nonsense he likes to say, I'm like, stop it. All right. Like, you don't amass that many points not
He
being
thinks
a
about his
scorer.
teammates first, Jarod. He likes to pass.
I mean, he does. And what's also great about LeBron is he is the only player in NBA history with 38,000, with at least 38,000 career points, at least 10,000 rebounds, and at least 10,000 assists. Like, let that sink into your brain.
In 20 years,
20 seasons.
at age 38.
Right? And at age 38, he is still, Jenna, playing maybe not an MVP level and not the best player in the league, but Jenna, he's still playing all NBA level basketball. He's in the 97th percentile, estimated plus minus. He's top 12 in EPM, right? That's all NBA. Like, he is outstanding still. And, you know, as you get older, the challenge, of course, is that you can be great on any night. It's just the continued greatness night after night. It's just harder to do because your body physically can't do it. His mind and his processing speed is as sharp as it's ever been. And that's the cruel irony of sport, right? When you are at the age LeBron is, your mind, there's nothing he hasn't seen. He can think the game of basketball better than anybody. The issue, of course, is that your body can't do it as well as it used to do. But when you're young, you may not have all the reference points, but you're super athletic and do all the things, right? So it's this weird, right, like cruel jest that happens when you play pro sports. But LeBron is phenomenal, and what he's done over his career, legendary. Look, the Lakers still stink, okay? And the large part of the reason why they stink is because Anthony Davis has been out. When he was playing like he was the best player in the league, that's what LeBron had envisioned when he told the Lakers to trade away all their draft picks and trade away all their young talent and bet on Anthony Davis, right? This will extend my prime. We can win more championships. Well, you won one. And look, maybe that's the bet, Jenna, right? It's one. Maybe you win one. Because winning more than one, there's no guarantee of that. And it's not likely going to happen this year. They're 20-24, 4 games under 500. You mentioned they're 4.5 games back of the 10th place spot, or 3.5 games back, I want to say, of the 10th spot. Let me look that up. Let me actually get that right on here. So we're actually speaking facts. They are, as we speak, 1.5 games back of the 10th spot. Okay, for the play-in. But Jenna.
For the play-in. Oh, God.
I mean, this team has not shown me anything. Even with a healthy Anthony Davis, or let's say they make a trade and they pick up somebody, I'm not picking them over the Memphis Grizzlies in a 7-game series. I'm not picking them over the Denver Nuggets in a 7-game series, right? Like any of the top teams in the West, the Pelicans, even though they're young and they don't have playoff experience, those Pelicans, they can guard their asses off. And so the idea that the Lakers will make a move and they'll be championship contenders, I don't see it. But what they should be doing is celebrating the accomplishment that LeBron's about to make. Of course, he's going to pass Kareem, a legendary Laker figure. As we know, Kareem spent his career with the Milwaukee Bucks and the Los Angeles Lakers. This is legendary stuff. And again, you cannot tell the story of the NBA without LeBron James. So kudos as he nears this amazing milestone. And with that 48-point game last night on MLK night, he became only the 3rd player in NBA history with multiple 40-plus point games over the age of 38. You want to guess who the other two are? I mean, I already mentioned them. No. Michael Jordan and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. These are the ones, right? Like, so again, when we're talking about just the greats, like to me, it's those three. Like if you think like a club, right? The inner sanctum, the innermost velvet rope. It's those 3 dudes. And then they're by themselves. And then we start branching out to everybody else in terms of what they've accomplished in basketball.
Absolutely incredible how far the gap is when you talk about guys like that. Also, was that done by me? What age was Kobe when he retired?
Might have been 30. He might have been 37.
Okay, I was gonna say he wasn't even 38 when he retired.
Yeah, I don't think he wasn't 40 when he played in the league. No.
Yeah, rest in peace. But lastly, on LeBron, quick, did you see the video online with him and Jabari Smith? That's
hilarious.
That's what popped up on my phone before because I was trying to find it.
Hilarious.
That you probably heard it on my phone.
Yep.
Oh my God, I was dying.
Well,
And he's like, really? Come on.
when you
What?
play 20 years in the league, you're gonna run across some father-son combinations, and he has, right? Like Jabari Smith Sr. and Jabari Smith Jr., right?
The Paytons, right?
Gary Payton and Gary Payton II. Yeah, I mean, there are a number of them, right? Kenyon
Gary
Martin
Trent.
Sr. and Kenyon Martin Jr., Gary Trent Sr., Gary Trent Jr. I mean, yeah, he's definitely
That's cool.
and he's playing with Scottie Pippen Jr., right? I mean, it's incredible. Again, the longevity, 20 years, and the level of play, right? He is still and again, he's not the best player in the league anymore, but he's still an all NBA level player.
It's crazy.
But again, for the Lakers, that one title might have been it. I just don't know that. Again, the Anthony Davis bet on him being healthy, that hasn't been a consistent thing, right? And LeBron also, ever since he's been a Laker, he's been hurt every year, right? So that's the other part of it, right? So listen, enjoy what he's doing because it's going to end soon, right? So
Yeah.
really, really, really enjoy it.
Yeah, sad stuff too with Anthony Davis because we got that major flash of like what he used to be. I hate to say used to.
Or what he could be at his peak, right?
Right.
It's just injuries keep setting him back,
Yeah, sad stuff. Hopefully he gets back healthy soon. All right, let's move on and talk about some more drama. Let's go down south. Let's talk about Atlanta because Trae Young, is he wilding out? Is he not wilding out? What's going
Trippin'.
on? What's the tea? Because we all talked about on this podcast how he had the scuffle with Nate McMillan and the whole game situation, XYZ, go back to that episode. We talked about it. But now, new report by, one of his hometown journals there in Atlanta that he booked a private flight after game 2 last year without informing the Hawks and then was fined for his actions. Did we know about this fine? Was this fine covered up? I have questions. Is this true? Of course. However, when those hometown journals be reporting stuff.
Yeah, it's true. Look,
they got the tea.
I feel like every show that I go on, I'm constantly banging on Trae Young, but like, look, man, this stuff is out there. And
like this narrative
the Hawks basically turned the franchise over to him and gave him the keys and let him just run amok. And look, man, like that may not be the best way to build a team that's going to contend and compete for championships. Remember, Jenna, 2 playoffs ago, when they made their run to the conference finals, we were like, look, with the young talent they have on this team, this is a team poised with, remember I said, the Memphis Grizzlies and New Orleans Pelicans to be the teams of the future in the NBA. Well, Memphis and New Orleans holding up their end of the bargain. Atlanta, not. And what is the difference in those situations? Well, Memphis's superstar, Ja Morant, he seems to engender loyalty and camaraderie and just genuine joy from his teammates. They are happy for his success. When Ja had his dunk over the weekend and lit up the internet, everybody went nuts. His teammates were going crazy. The Pelicans, Zion's been in and out, but they love that kid.
Yeah.
You get the sense that the Hawks players love Trae Young and love playing with that dude. That ain't the vibe that I get.
I love vibes, and those vibes don't seem great.
And Jenna, look, Travis Schlenk, who was the GM, remember, is now in an advisory role. So he stepped down from his position. Trae got Lloyd Pierce fired, the head coach before Nate McMillan. He's now bristling with Nate McMillan. There was in that Atlanta Journal-Constitution report, it was reported that Trae's relationship with Travis Schlenk started to deteriorate over the last couple of months. Is that the reason why Travis is now in the front office? Look, man, it's totally okay for a team to allow its superstar perks and certain levels of, run within an organization. But it has to translate to something and it has to be earned, right? What has Trae done to earn that? And look, the owners may love him, so that's all that matters because that's the boss, right? But I I would not be surprised, Jenna, and I'm not reporting this. I haven't talked to anybody down there, but if they're like, look, man, internally, what if we shopped him this summer and tried to move on from him and change some things around here? Because look, while Trae is an excellent offensive player, he's limited on the defensive side of the floor. We know this, right? Like he's basically a turnstile on defense.
His size as well isn't in Jarod your favor, probably.
I'm sorry?
His size.
Oh, yes, he's small, which, you know my theories about when you're building around barely a 6 foot, right? A 6 foot point guard, right? When that's your best player, that creates challenges if the rest of your roster isn't together. And the rest of the roster is good, but my point is, do they believe and do they want to rally behind this guy? Right? Like,
right.
The Dallas Mavericks play a heliocentric style of basketball with Luka Doncic, right? He dominates the ball. His teammates seem to be cool with that and love how he plays and rock with him. Again, I don't see that in Atlanta. And look, Trae's young. He's 24 maybe. So he's got time to mature and grow. But if he wants to be the leader of a franchise, see, it's more than just you get the A1 parking spot. You get to decide if we're going to stay an extra night in Miami on the road. Yeah, those are the perks. But it's more of it than that, right? You are the leader. Your job is to engender camaraderie and a spirit of cohesiveness. And I just don't see that with Trae Young. And again, the story that's come out, look, if you're Dallas right now, you're like, whoo, good thing we traded for Luka Doncic, right? Like I think everybody in the draft who in that draft, those top 4 guys, with the exception of Sacramento, who took Marvin Bagley and it didn't work out. Actually, not even everybody, because Ayton and the Suns, who knows how long that's going to stay. But I will say that Dallas is happy with who they got, and the Memphis Grizzlies are happy with who they got. They got Jarod Jackson 4th in that draft. Those guys are happy. Those teams are happy with who they drafted. And, Atlanta, we'll see. We'll see.
I love when you put the cherry on top of an argument. I'm like, oh, man, now he's making me think. But, yeah, oh, my gosh. Everybody is happy. Well, Luka's definitely happy where he is, at least I feel. I'd want to play for Mark Cuban anyway. Come on.
Look, Jenna, I just, again, the top end of that draft, right? Let's go again. DeAndre Ayton first to the Suns, Bagley second to the Kings. The Hawks picked Doncic 3rd, eventually traded him to the Mavericks, who picked Trae Young 5th. Jaren Jackson Jr. went 4th. And after that, Mo Bamba, Wendell Carter Jr., Colin Sexton, Mikal Bridges, et cetera. SGA. I will say the Hornets, although SGA is now on the OKC Thunder, so whatever. But the top 5. Who's happy in the top 5? For sure, we can guarantee. The only 2 teams that I say are 100% guaranteed with who they got, the Mavericks, because they traded for Luka, and the Memphis Grizzlies, who have Jaren Jackson Jr., who, by the way, is the front runner for Defensive Player of the Year right now. Just throwing that out there.
I feel like we're obligated. We have to. Not even that we're obligated, that we want to give him.
That's our guy.
He is our guy. He is the 7 Footers podcast man. But anyway, really quick, out of that list that you just said, of course, of the top 4 or 5 draft picks that year. When you say every one of them and you explain like you did, which was correct, of course, you think to yourself, wow, the guy who probably would have been mentally not as great on that night would be Luka. All right, I went 3rd, 4th, which is still great, but I wasn't 1, and then I got traded. Like, oh, okay, cool. But now look at it.
Luka's. Maybe the MVP favorite, or number 2 behind Jokic. Look,
all the GM stats this year.
As I said, Luka and the Mavericks and Jaren and the Grizzlies, very happy. Everybody else,
yeah, not looking so hot out there. So the grass really isn't always as greener, guys. All right, go down to Dallas, get your feet wet a little bit, you'll be happy. All right, let's talk about. This is the perfect segue to this because the trade deadline's coming up and it's about to get popping up in here, which means some players are going to be in different cities, jerseys, teams. Y'all know how it goes. People are leaving, people are coming, they're going. So let's talk about it. Who are buyers and sellers when it comes to the positions that they're in right now? I mean, we got a lot of teams that are basically just playing bad basketball and we're about to expose them right now. No, I'm kidding. Kind of. But Let's talk about these teams. We'll start in the West. I'll start at the
Okay.
bottom of the West
Okay.
and tell me buyers or sellers, and then sell me on it. Basically, give me this idea. Tell everybody what this team needs to do. Let's talk about it. Number 15 in the West here, the Rockets.
They're going to do nothing. They're not buying. I mean, they may potentially move Eric Gordon, but look, the Rockets aren't good, and they're likely going to be likely. They are in the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes.
Yeah.
They've got Jalen Green. They got Jabbar Smith Jr. You know, you add on a Victor Wembanyama to that group, and who knows? You might have something going there. I worry about Paul Silas's job security. Steven Silas, excuse me, Paul Silas, rest in peace. Recent died his dad. Steven Silas, his job security. I just don't know what they're doing down there. They got young talent. They just aren't playing well. But young kids typically don't play well. But I would say that they may sell off Eric Gordon, but that's about it. They're kind of just going to stand pat and be in the Victor sweepstakes.
All right, number 14, Spurs. What are we doing in San Antonio?
They're going to sellers. Jakob Hurtel might be on the trade block. Again, Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes. And San Antonio is a perfect spot for Victor to go to because the infrastructure. I trust Pop to do the right thing and coach him up correctly. And listen, they get him, and I'd be right back in the back in the top of the West competing very soon because Victor's that special. But yeah, they're going to be sellers like to Jakob Hurtel going.
Oh, you love to hear it. All right, number lucky, I hope 13, Lakers. What are we doing in LA? You have to please LeBron. We need another.
I mean, they got to be buyers, right? But again, we're talking about that 2027 draft pick and that 2029 draft pick. Like, okay, maybe you move. I wouldn't even say you move Russell's contract right now because Russ is playing well off the bench for them, so they need him. So look, they need to play Thomas Bryant more. Darvin Ham needs to do that because he's excellent. But yeah, they're probably going to be buyers. And if they're going to be buyers, it's going to have to be with those future draft picks, which again, to what end, Jenna? So that they are a play-in team and let's say they win the play-in and get to be the 8th seed. Congratulations. You get a first round matchup with the Grizzlies to get waxed. Congrats.
Waxed. All right, let's talk about the Suns. What do they need to do?
Oh,
because they're not doing too hot right now. And they were just number 1, starting out, basically.
Jenna, they were atop the West a month and a half ago, and it has been disaster since. Chris Paul is looking his age. Devin Booker's been injured. The Monty Williams, DeAndre Ayton situation still is not good, and they got the Jay Crowder thing hanging over their head. So from that standpoint, they may be sellers and buyers, right? Because look, their windows right now. Chris Paul, he ain't getting younger. But the question is Devin Booker going to be back? And a hamstring injury is tricky. So they might be both, Jenna, sellers and buyers. They may move off Crowder, see what they can get, maybe try to say, okay, let's get in this and make one last run this year. Or they move the Ayton contract and they try to get some young pieces back in here to build around Booker. Because, listen, when you have a chance to win, they were up 2-0 against the Bucks. You don't know if you're ever going back again. It sure looks like they're not going back anytime soon.
Right. And that Ayton situation is a question mark for sure. Too long. All right. The Thunder. I mean, buying everything.
You know what's so funny about the Thunder? Do you think they're in the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes, right? But God, they have so much young talent and they're competent, Jenna. 21 and 23. They have a positive net rating. They play defense. And look, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is outstanding. Look, if they have all the pieces they need to make a move right now to acquire somebody. Now, they have a little bit of salary issue because they don't have any huge max guys on their team besides SGA, but why would they want to move SGA? So I'm going to say the Thunder just kind of stand pat. I don't think they're going to buy or sell anyone. I think they're just going to kind of stay where they are.
Interesting. All right. What about the Trailblazers? Are we going to get Dame some help?
I mean, what are we doing in Portland? Really? Okay, it's a feel-good story. They jumped out. Everybody's kind of fun. Ooh, look at Portland, top 6 in the West, whatever. And now they're below 500. This is who Portland is, right? They're just, look, Dame re-upped. He's going to stay, but he's going to stay on a team that's not winning any championships anytime soon. So, buyers, but nothing that's going to move the needle. And for what? To what end? For who and for what?
You kill me. All right. Let's talk about the once Timber puppies who are no longer puppies.
I mean,
are they?
God, by what? They've already mortgaged. In the Rudy Gobert trade, they surrendered so much of their draft capital. I mean, I think for them, they're going to try to figure out, okay, can we somehow find a way to turn it on, like, starting now, because we're past the halfway point.
Is it working?
Look, it may be a coaching thing with Chris Finch. Rudy is not as good as he was, but I think there's just some challenges playing with Rudy that Minnesota has not risen to in terms of challenge wise. They made a bet on Anthony Edwards making another leap this year. He has not. And so, maybe they moved D'Angelo Russell, but to who and for what? Right? Like, this is
Time will tell. All right. Let's talk about these Jazz. Not as tanking as I thought.
no, not as thing as we thought. But look, I mean, I think the Jazz are going to be sellers. I really do. I think, they keep Lauri Markkanen, but I think that, they're going to really, after the trade deadline, you'll start being like, oh, someone's got an injury. He's out for the next, 2 months, right? Like, once you trade Mitchell and Gobert, the writing's on the wall, right? Like, it's clear what you're trying to do. Look for Mike Conley to get traded to a contender, possibly.
Yeah.
But I see them as sellers here.
All right. I don't disagree. All right. What about the Warriors?
I mean, they're buyers and sellers, right? So they have to get some veteran help to shore up. Because look, you have Steph Curry in his prime, still playing elite MVP like basketball, right? They think they try to just 2-track thing, right? We're gonna play now, win now, and also win in the future. Well, clearly it hasn't worked, right? The young kids are not able to play defensively at the level they need to, and offensively, right? They're struggling a little bit. Do the Warriors move one of those Wiseman, Kuminga, Moody's, right, for a more established veteran player who can help them defensively and offensively can fit into their system? I think that's what Warriors fans want. Does Bob Myers and Joe Lacob agree? We'll see.
Interesting. Will Draymond Green be on that team at the end of the year?
I believe so, yeah. Because if they think they're winning a championship this year, if they want to, yes, he will be. If they think that it's not going to happen, then who knows?
Okay, interesting stuff. Let's move not too far on the West Coast to the Clippers.
The Clippers, they might be sellers, Jenna, because they kind of have to shore up some of their rotations. They have a lot of guys. Look, the biggest thing is Paul George and Kawhi Leonard being healthy and playing games. But once that happens, they got to kind of shore up some of the rotations and just have Tyler's a pragmatic guy. Let's cut this rotation to 8 for the playoffs, right? Your top 8 guys. Some of it's superfluous. I mean, they can get some guys that Phil needs better. John Wall is hurt right now, so they may look at something there to figure out what they're going to do in that regard. Maybe they move Covington and get somebody else in, but I look for them to maybe shore up some things and maybe be sellers here.
All right. Mavericks. Luka, are we getting him any help?
Buyers, right? The question is, what do they potentially have to trade to acquire somebody? I mean, Dwight Powell. I just, I'm really thinking about the roster. Like, what do they have? Tim Hardaway Jr. You move him they let Brunson go, and they didn't seem to have a clear backup plan for how to refill that role, or whatever their plan was. It ain't working. So, yeah, they're probably going to be buyers.
Okay. The Sacramento Kings, the number 4 in the West, Sacramento Kings.
I think they're going to stand pat. Honestly, they are awesome offensively. Excuse me. They need to work defensively, but Mike Brown's a defensive guy. Look, Kings fans, for the first time in, was it 25 years it's been? Well, no, I'm sorry, 16 seasons.
Yeah, don't do that to them.
I think you might make the playoffs. Is that if everything? I think it might happen. So stand pat. Keep doing what you're doing.
Go Kings fans. Y'all deserve that. Okay, y'all deserve all of it. Damn. All right, let's talk about the Pelicans, number 3 in the West.
They may be looking to acquire some guys. So look, with Zion, Herb Jones on defense, CJ McCollum, Jonas Valanciunas, Jose Alvarado. They have a lot of pieces. Brandon Ingram hasn't played that much yet. Trey Murphy, the third. Look, I like this team. They may look to acquire another veteran shooting help. Hearing Gary Trent Jr.'s name kind of be bandied around, but they have the young pieces and the assets to actually swing for a legit established player that could help potentially put this team up over the top. So look for the Pelicans to be in buy mode.
Oh, interesting stuff. Keep your eye on them. Let's go to the Grizzlies now.
Similar. This team is ready to win a championship this year, Jenna. Do they make a move to acquire, a veteran, wing to replace Dillon Brooks, right? So they move Brooks, some young pieces in a pick to get, I'm trying to think who. OG Anunoby or someone better, or a Pascal Siakam type, right? Like, who knows? Someone like that. Someone who's going to be, because what they need, Jenna, is someone who can play defense, obviously. And when they go small, right, and have Adams off the floor and Jaren at the 5, when they go Tripp, Bane, Jaren at the 5, right, and they probably go Zaire Williams, right? Or, can you go Pascal and, Dillon Brooks, or Pascal and Zaire Williams, because Brooks will be part of that trade, right? Something like that, right? Someone who's like, okay, we can play many minutes with that lineup, and we're elite defensively, and we're excellent offensively. So,
love it. Grizzlies on a 10-game winning streak.
But 10-game winning streak, hottest team in the league. But they may just stand pat, because they may be like, look, we think we're good enough to win with what we have right now, and they very well might be.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's where I was leaning toward that they might do. But hey, what do I know? I'm no coach. Let's talk about last team in the West, the Nuggets. Wow, what a good time for the Nuggets too.
The number one Denver Nuggets. Yeah, I mean, look, Nikola Jokic is playing like the MVP, and he might win his third straight. All the advanced numbers say he should. They are the number one team in the West, record wise, tied with the Grizzlies. Look, they need to be better on defense. They're 16th right now, 17th. They need to be better at the point of attack. Can they get a point of attack defender? And what do they have to give? What do they have to give up to get that kind of person? I mean, Gary Payton II would have been great on this team. He's already on Portland, but he'd be wonderful on this team. Can shoot threes, right? Can cut, and is an on-ball hawk, right? And can switch. A player like that, but they ain't many of those players that exist. But can they find someone like that? And what do they have to give up to get him? But that's if I'm Denver, that's what I'm looking for.
Love it. All right, let's move out east and talk about the Hornets. What do they need to do? I mean, in the East, pretty much everything.
I mean, they're the Hornets. They stink. They're in a Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes. Next.
Pistons 14.
Same. Wembanyama sweepstakes. The injury to Cade Cunningham really, it derailed any progress they would make in terms of team right now. Wembanyama sweepstakes.
First of all, and this is the only thing, and I'm sure this is an exhausted topic, but like that's where this whole draft lottery process hurts young players, because when you get on a team that's shit, tanks, everything. I'm not saying it causes injury. I'm just saying it for the experience. Like it could end up really bad for these guys. I guess that's the chance you take, but
well, Jenna, just like you can build a culture of winning, you can also build a culture of losing, right? It works both ways. So yeah.
Ooh, that was deep. All right, let's talk about the Magic.
They're going to stand pat. They're young. That team's on the come up, Jenna, with Paolo Banchero, Wagner. Well, both Wagners, but Franz in particular. Bol is doing some fun things. I think they need to figure out what their guard situation is between Cole Anthony, Jalen Suggs. I'm not quite sure what's happening there. Markelle Fultz having a bit of renaissance, but they're going to just stand pat and just keep the young kids and keep getting better.
Markelle.
They may move like a Mo Bamba type. And then Jonathan Isaac is coming back finally after 2 years not playing basketball. We'll see. We'll see what happens there. But one of those guys could get moved.
Yeah, and he's not good. So hopefully it helps them out. All right, Wizards. Let's talk about the Wizards. Why can't Bradley Beal stay healthy?
I mean, God, what? They're a team that's perpetually in the middle. Like they should be sellers and like really move Beal and just rebuild with the young guys, right? Like build around Hachimura, maybe Avdia. Like GM Tommy Shepard, my guy, what are we doing in Washington Wizards land? I have no idea.
Tough business out there. What about Canada? Let's go to the
The
Raptors.
Raptors, they might be sellers, Jenna. Like, I think that, look, they love Scotty Barnes, even though he had a bit of a regression this year. So it may be we move Van Vliet and we build around Scotty and Siakam, or we move Van Vliet and OG. Like, or they do a complete, not tear down, but it's all right. We move Van Vliet, we move Siakam, and we move OG, and it's Scotty Barnes, and we just try to rebuild from there. I think they're going to be sellers, though. I think they're sellers.
Hey, they have good pieces to sell. I mean,
They sure
we'll
do.
see.
They sure do.
All right. Let's talk about the Bulls because a lot of question marks around the Bulls. Where's Lonzo? What's going on?
That's the thing. I think Lonzo's going to play this year. And they're such an enigma, that team, right? They're great against the top teams in the East, but bad against everybody else. They might be sellers, Jenna. Alex Caruso, that's a name that he can help a contender. DeRozan's a big contract, so it might be tough to move him. But, look, they got Iodicino. Vooch is someone that, look, Vooch doesn't help you defensively, but if you need some big man offensive help, he might help. So I look for them to be sellers.
Okay, I'm not mad at it. Your guys, the Hawks.
I mean,
John Collins, they've been trying to move him forever. So.
Literally since he got to the league, they've been trying to move him. They need a serious reset down there and a culture reset around. Look, if you want to keep Trae, fine, but his leadership and that culture has got to change. So, look, here's a perfect example of this. I said it, I think, before. Look how well Kevin Huerter's thriving in Sacramento away from Atlanta.
I love when you do that. And you just don't say anything. My favorite. All right. Let's keep it rolling here. The Pacers.
Young team that's doing well. They're definitely ahead of expectations. Carlisle's not a coach that's going to tank. I don't know they're going to be buyers or anything. Maybe they do something with Hield or Turner. But look, this team getting Mathurin.
They've been in talks too.
Yeah, they've been in talks
Lakers.
for since the Lakers. But I think that ship sailed. Getting Mathurin and Halliburton and those guys some playoff experience, I think will be very helpful for this team. So I think they're going to stand pat.
Cool. Let's move on because I'm confused by the Heat. They should be much better than they are. What's going on?
The
Knicks
older.
are above them. No offense.
Jimmy's older. They're not athletic right now. Kyle Lowry. It's this is the challenge with this team, right? And I don't know. Maybe they move Oladipo, right? Like, what do they have to move them up into the contending status? I don't see this team making a spurt, although they're playing better of late. I will say they have been playing better of late. I don't know. This is not a conference finalist this year as they were last year.
Yeah, tricky stuff. All right, let's move on to the Knicks because I feel like they do this to us. They get really, really good for a little bit, and then it's just.
They're a good team. I think maybe they move Cam Reddish, maybe. But I like what they're doing. They're tough defensively. They have a limited ceiling offensively, but they're super tough defensively. They're a playoff team right now. And they're gonna maybe win around in the playoffs.
Yeah, Julius Randle been balling out.
Playing well, playing much better than the last year's situation when he was like thumbs downing the fans. So this is better.
Oh, thought we forgot about that. Let's go to Cleveland and talk about the Cavs because this team,
they're so good. They're so good. If they can somehow find a way to get an elite wing, which everyone needs an elite wing without giving up too much, sure. I don't know how they do that. And they're going to stand pat. I think they're going to be good. Maybe something are on the fringes, but I think they're staying pat with what they got.
Yeah, I don't mind it. Good stuff there. All right, the Sixers. Sixers doing well in the East
Sixers
right
playing
now.
well. Another team that may just stand pat. They're playing well. Embiid's a monster.
But that's what they do though every year. It's just there's like an invisible wall that they just run into.
There might be buyers around. What they need is what everyone needs. A reliable wing score. Everyone needs another reliable wing. Those things don't grow. Those players don't grow on trees. So I don't know where they find one. Does Bogdanovich move the needle for them? I don't think so. But we'll see.
Yeah, we shall. All right. Let's talk about the Bucks. They've been worrying me a little bit.
Look, they need Chris Middleton to be healthy. That's their thing. If he's not healthy, then they're not going to win any championship this year. So I don't think they're going to be buyers or sellers. They're going to stand pat because they're still elite on defense. But if they want to win a title, Middleton needs to be healthy.
Facts. Couldn't agree more. Let's go to Brooklyn and talk about your Nets because they might need some help while your guy's out.
Yep, Durant's out with a strained MCL. It doesn't look like it'll be as long as the one last year that kept him out for just over a month. He'll be reevaluated next week, so we'll see where that is. Look, they need a little bit more, maybe center girth behind Claxton. Who that is? Jakob Poeltl. What do they have to give up to get Poeltl? Right?
Yeah.
And then, do you move one of Seth Curry and or Patty Mills to get yourself another big body, a Kyle Kuzma type, right? Like, and what else would you have to give up to get Kuzma? So they may be looking at buyers, right? Because they're still small at certain areas. They need a little more beef. So, they're going to be buyers.
Yeah, interesting stuff in Brooklyn because I feel like Patty Mills, like you don't need him there. Why is he there? He's taking up space.
You might need him as the Ben Simmons whisperer, but we'll see.
Interesting. All right, let's talk about the number one in the East, Celtics. Does the number one team even need to do anything?
I think they're pretty good. I think, again, something on the margin maybe, but this is a team, Jenna, that is poised to get back to the NBA Finals and hopefully complete the task this time. They look laser focused and ready. They're playing elite offense. Their defense is coming around. Robert Williams III is back. The Celtics are very good right now, and I think last year's disappointment really, it's fueling them. So I think they're going to stand pat.
Yeah, I mean, hey, talk about a team that shocked me completely. I mean, they were given the recipe and the playbook to just have a shitty season because of everything happening there. And they're just really exceeding expectations. So good for them. February 9th, the trade deadline, everyone. We'll talk to you before then, but it's coming and get your party pants on because it's going to be chaos and we're going to have more gray hair.
Jenna, we're past the halfway point where most teams have already played 41 games. Some teams are at 44 games already. Like we are, by the time All-Star hits, we're 2/3 of the way through the season. And then it's let's get to April and then it's go time. So this is the time. Teams are gonna have to start, really. You can start seeing it now though. The players are starting to we need the All-Star break. They're starting to see some tired legs out there. Like we need a break.
They got to go hit a quick island for a couple of days,
recharge, their masseuse, exactly, get themselves together, and then it's just get ready for the playoffs and full steam ahead. But as always, folks, you know where to find us at 7FootersPod on Twitter, at 7FootersPodcast on Instagram, at JS Hector, at Jenna Lemoncelli. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, SoundCloud, all that. And until next time, everybody, peace.
Spent a couple years out here with these raps, trying to have a plan that we made come true. Applied to some jobs, but I ain't hit back. I don't want to trap.